Deck has collapsed here at this apartment complex over the weekend in the city of Brookhaven. First off, I want to say that right now nobody was killed. There were some rather serious injuries. I want to say 4 children and 2 adults were injured when this deck collapsed. And not only did a piece of the concrete fall on a child, but also another child apparently came in contact with the charcoal grill that was being used at the time and was seriously burned. The sympathies of everyone in Brookhaven go out to the people who were injured, which is why we had our chief building inspector and fire marshal here this morning at about 8:30 to check the building and see what happened. Their preliminary investigation shows that this building, which was built in 1966, about 48 years old, has had a structural failure of the beam that holds the deck to the side of the building. They call that a ledger beam. It's basically a piece of angle iron with anchor bolts through it on which the deck sits and attaches the deck to the side of the building. After 48 years, we assume those bolts have rusted through. This building was inspected by Brookhaven's apartment inspection complex, multifamily inspection apartment complex in October of 2013. But the beam itself and the bolts would have been hidden from view, encased by concrete. So the structural integrity wouldn't have been something that our apartment inspection could have detected at that time. Our chief building inspector and our fire marshal are going to stay on this. They have ordered the apartment owner to get what's called a structural engineering inspection, basically to review the building for structural integrity, to review all of the decks in this apartment complex. There are 25 others that are going to be checked out. We've asked the apartment owner to do that within the next 10 days and to report back to the city of Brookhaven on the results of that inspection. If there are any other issues, any other decks that are unsafe, the apartment owner will come to the city of Brookhaven, request a building permit for new construction, basically a remodeling permit, and that is the point at which City of Brookhaven inspectors can start checking for structural integrity and to make sure that the remodeled buildings are up to current code and not to 1966 code. Brookhaven's been working very hard. We've got 66 apartment complexes in the city. We've been trying to inspect them and get them up to current building codes as best we can. Most of them, although that you see where most of the work needs to be done, are older buildings. They would only be subject to current code if they're going to do a remodel, if they're going to do an expansion. If they chose, for example, to replace, repair, or enlarge this deck, they would need to come to the city then for an inspection, for a permit review, and it's at that point that we could say, yes, you need to bring your structures up to current code. We've already been in contact. Our building inspector was in contact with him today. He's said he's going to have a structural engineering company on site to begin inspections tomorrow. We've asked them to complete those and get back to us with a report within 10 days with a plan for remediation on any structures that are necessary. We are going to rely on the apartment owner and his engineering company to come to us and say, we need to replace this one and this one and this one. An engineering inspection for structural integrity is more complex and more in-depth than the kind of inspections that the city of Brookhaven has been doing up until this point. We will move forward with the apartment owner and with his engineering firm to let them do the assessment, to let them come up with the remediation plan, and then use that as our opportunity to get our eyes on every single deck in this complex. This was the structure collapsed about 12:30 a.m. on Sunday. The first responders were DeKalb County Fire Department. Brookhaven Police Department was also contacted. They made the initial assessments. One thing we do want to emphasize, we understand from the prior media reports and from our police department that the neighbors in the complex actually lifted off the concrete block off the injured child who was trapped underneath. Thank you very much for there being a response and for taking such quick action. I think they certainly minimized injury and certainly saved lives.